Well, let's talk about Module 2. And so Module 2 is all about tuning the magic wand. And so the question that comes to my mind when you say tuning the magic wand is, why does the magic wand need to be tuned? What is it that I'm not doing that's causing it to be out of tune, if you will? Can you speak to a little bit about that, since Module 2 is focused on tuning the magic wand? What about the magic wand, which you referred to as our minds, what about that needs tuning, and how come we don't already have that built in?
Well, it's like anything else. If you neglect it for a period of time, then when you get back to it, you're going to have to do something. So if I don't work out for several months, then at some point I'm going to have to get back on the bike, because my body reacts to, I then end up with the body I didn't want, or the fitness level I didn't want. If you leave a car in the garage and go away on vacation for a month, when you come back, pretty much you're going to have to fire up the battery again before you can take it out. So it's no different with the mind. Most people have not used the mind. We think we do, but most people haven't used it the way it sits there ready to be used for sometimes decades. And so if you suddenly free that power and that potential, but you don't take the time to sort of tune it so that it can be an effective tool, then you're missing an opportunity. And so Module 2 is all about, okay, now we've freed the magic wand. How can we make it the most effective magic wand that we can have? And there's some very simple techniques, and again some understanding of quantum physics. I'm sorry to use that phrase again. And quantum is just a word. In Latin it means how much, and quantum physics is just a study of how much is there a relationship between energy and matter, and that's it. You can in fact, you don't need to attend the course now. You now know all there is to know about quantum physics. That's all there is to it. And so I wish, instead of using the word quantum, and whoever came up with that, I have no idea, I wish they'd called it Bob or Janet or something. So if it was Bob physics or Janet physics, we wouldn't be scared by it. We'd all want to know more about, well, what's Janet physics all about? What's Allison physics all about? So I'm going to use the word quantum, but don't be put off by that at all. So once you understand all of this quantum physics, and once you get this knowledge, then how do you put it in a package whereby you can easily use it to be effective in your life right now? And that's really what the tuning part of it is. That's that second module. We'll go back into something we learned in the first module and see how that's relevant for how we live in our life today. And so we'll put the two things together, and then here are some techniques that you can use that will make it effective. Now, if I just gave you the techniques without the quantum physics understanding, then you're more likely to not use those techniques because you don't understand how they would work. So the key is the understanding.
Mm-hmm. The question that came to my mind as you were speaking, Trevor, is if we're tuning the magic wand, can you share, and again, since you have interacted with a lot of 3 Simple Steps readers and users, what is an example that comes to your mind that a 3 Simple Steps reader may be making mistakes in terms of the tuning of the magic wand? What are they not experiencing, or what mistakes are they making in that area that this second phase of the course would really be helpful for?
If we don't take time to make the magic wand effective, if we don't tune it correctly, then what you end up is a life where you start making I'll say bad decisions, but decisions that are not in your best interest, and you start to live a life where you separate your mind from your intuition. So you separate the mind from the heart, in effect. And so by fine-tuning, what we try to do is what we do is to get that balance absolutely right, so that we have the ability to analyze the world in front of us and then make a decision based upon our strong feeling about how to react to the world in front of us. And that combination, we're talking about intuition now. Most people think intuition is some kind of new age ideology or something like that. No, it's quantum physics, and I can show it, I can prove it, I can actually demonstrate it to you in a scientific way. And that's what we're going to do in Module 2. So once people understand that, this feeling I have down here is not something that I'm supposed to ignore, because it's real, it's science, it's quantum physics, it's my fermions and bosons talking to me, and that's what we're going to learn.
What I'm hearing too is that there's something about our mind, our magic wand, that we're not using as effectively as we could. So in your experience, Trevor, wager a guess here, like how many of us are really using our minds to the full extent that we could? Because it sounds like what you're going to be teaching is, now here's an expansion of how you could use that magic wand, your mind, in a really powerful way. And so we have a lot of people who are using 3 Simple Steps already. are even Three Simple Steps readers not using their minds and their magic wands? Are they not tuning it in order to use it in the most effective way? Have you seen that as well, even with Three Simple Steps users?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the main reasons I was getting so many requests to do a class, is that people can see the effects. Because Three Simple Steps, talks about how to tune appropriately, how to connect, how to connect into a source of information, and I think people really feel that and get that, but they really want to understand what's working. Why is that working? We live in a world where we no longer sit in the congregation and believe everything the guy in the pulpit says to us. The world has changed. We've got so much information that we have access to now, and people have developed this desire to understand the truth about things. And so once you understand the truth about the scientific connections that are going on around us, that gives you tremendous confidence to trust that this decision I'm making for myself right now, even though everybody else tells me I'm crazy, and even though I started to think that I must be crazy, I know it's the right decision for me because I can understand now in my life, I can see and feel this scientific process going on around me, so therefore it must be right for me. And once you may have that understanding, when you ignore those signals, then you know you've just ignored those signals. It hurts. It pulls you. So we're going to get into all of that. Yeah, I think it's that part of Three Simple Steps that makes people want to know more, because by applying the Three Simple Steps and getting through this sort of tuning process that we talk about in step 2 of Three Simple Steps, people's lives have changed so dramatically, and they want to know more and why it's changing, and then they want to be able to control that change a little bit more, I think.
Right, so it's really a deepening and an expansion of what we already learned with three simple steps, but more of giving us more of an understanding, like you said, knowledge is power, but more of an understanding of why it works. And I know I've been there where certain things have happened, and I'm like, it happened. It's this thing I've been writing in my intentions, and it happened. And there is a natural tendency to want to know a lot more about why it happened, so you feel more like you know nicely what's going on and how to create even more of what you've already started to create. So that's, I think, a pretty powerful piece of it. Now with the tuning of the magic wand, if you can you think of like a specific example of how that would apply in a business setting, for example, like somebody trying to, like, what would the impact of tuning the magic wand do for somebody who is running a business, for example? Like, what would they experience really positively if they did do that correctly?
I've always found one of the biggest benefits of this is when I'm sitting in a meeting room. I try to avoid sitting in meeting rooms as much as possible these days, but I mean, it can be a very painful process. And I found myself oftentimes, the Three Simple Steps ends up putting you in places where you're totally unqualified to be, because you're just growing and expanding. And I found myself in situations where I'm surrounded by scientists who are dealing with extremely complicated data, and I do not know what they're talking about, but I can sit and I can listen and I can focus. I can because my magic wand is tuned. It's almost like somebody will say one thing in the middle of 150 things that they're trying to get across, and it's like that thing lit up in front of me. And so I know that that's the key point, and that's the key thing we need to focus on. And so I will get the group to focus on this. And at the end of these meetings, those people that I have left are absolutely convinced that I must have had the same scientific training as they've had, but I don't even know what they're talking about. And that's what you get, because you get this link between analysis and intuition. And when you're finally tuned, it's beautiful. I mean, you feel it. It's a physical thing. So, most women understand what I'm talking about, because I think every woman has had the situation where the phone goes and they know who's calling before they pick the phone up. I mean, everyone's experienced that. But imagine that you could control that and have that every single time in every situation. Well, in the business world, that gives you a tremendous competitive advantage, because you can anticipate where the issues are before they become issues, and you can also observe where the opportunities are that other people are ignoring because they're talking over all of this stuff. So in the meeting setting, it's a tremendous tool, and I get a lot of feedback about that from Three Simple Steps readers who have suddenly found themselves in the meeting room. They used to talk a lot, and now they don't talk very much, or they were people who were very quiet in the background, and now they speak up because they know they're right.
And that intuitive sense becomes even stronger in those settings. Yeah.
The more you tune, the better it gets. I tell you.
Yes. Yeah. and I could see that being remarkably helpful with business decisions, career decisions. You talk about the meeting room, which is pretty common in the career setting, but also in business decisions as well. As business owners, I could see that being helpful too.